Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hello, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Late tonight, a chance of rain with a low of 45. Then Friday, rain and thunderstorms expected with a high of 55. Get your exquisite, elegant box of French macarons from Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth. Nicolette's is conveniently located off Highway 169 and 36th Avenue. Stop in at the store or order your box online at nicolettesmacarons.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, any cut gave me.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we have our friend, State Representative Heather Keeler, and we want to get a quick check-in with the State Representative. Great to see you, Heather. Thanks so much for stopping in, and thanks for all you do for our community and our state.
Thanks, Robert. Cool shirt you have on today.
I can't hear you.
Oh, no.
There we go. Gotcha. Oh,
okay.
Nice. Oh, there you are. You're good.
You got me? Okay. Hello. It's good to see you. I was saying you have a cool shirt on today.
Yes.
Kind of fun. That was the old slogan. I know. I was just going to say I need to get you the Keeler for Congress stuff that we have as well. So, yeah, thanks for giving me a couple minutes. I sort of just want to give an update, if it's okay to jump in with sort of the last week and what some of the things have been happening at the Capitol, in the House. I serve on the Human Services, I serve on Health, and I serve on Education Policy. the Minnesota House is in a tie. And I think it's just wild to me, some of the things that are happening. We have tried to pass really common sense gun legislation that the families of Annunciation have been asking us to do. Like, there's been Harper and Fletcher's desks have been all around the Capitol. Like, it's just a realization that we have got to do things in education policy. We tried a simple bill that would have put us back into federal alignment just as recent as a year ago, saying that guns have to be safely stored in a vehicle if they're on school property, like in a parking lot. Couldn't get that passed. We're trying to create an office for gun violence prevention through the Department of Health, but because we know that this is like a public health issue for those who work in or are deeply connected to suicide prevention, we know that there's an overlap there in, areas of mental health. And we keep coming up to kind of a hardship. And so I just want to remind people it's so important to be involved in the democratic process, because without having good people in the seats to do the work, we're not able to get the good work done. And so if there's seats open in your local, like city council, county commission, school board, or if your House seat is open, or your Senate seat is open, or your tribal seats are open, run for something, because it really, really matters who we put in these seats.
Yes, absolutely. And we just got to keep on talking about what you just brought up, because it's really important, because, the voters have a short memory. And I really appreciate you coming in and talking about this, because it's so important. And also, it's common sense legislature, like you said.
Well, and these are things that, Robert, when you look at the polls of what Minnesotans are telling us, our communities are telling us, like, it's not about just what side of politics you're on. Like, these are things that just Minnesotans want us to do. Like, we've got to be able to come together to have solutions to protect our next generations. And so, I keep working my hardest in a bipartisan way to find good paths for our kids. We were able to move a bill forward to create an interagency council on addressing student attendance. There's some of those slivers of commonality that I think we should be able to work on. And obviously, I think that that's protecting our kids the most. It seems like they always land in the middle of these adult hardships, and it's just really, really unfair to our next generation.
Absolutely. And one of the things too, for you, we're only going to have you on for a short bit. I'd really love it if you can, you're running for Congress, and you're our vote for Congress. If you could just give information out there how people can support you and find out more about you.
Yeah, Keeler for Congress is our website. I'm in the car now going to events. Like, so if you know anybody, Congressional District 7 is 38 counties. It's like the entire west side of the state, so it's giant. Word of mouth is one of the most valuable things that people can do. And so sharing, if you know anybody in this side of the state that I am running, we're in the middle of county conventions, but also donations. Campaigns cost money, and if we want to keep millionaires and billionaires out of these decision-making places, we need to be able to support everyday people like me. I don't come from depths of wealth, and so donations really are great, like really needed right now, so that I can pay a staff and we can get out and do the good work. And volunteers, there's ways to volunteer everywhere. We're doing phone banking, we're making phone calls, and that can be done from your home anywhere, not only in Minnesota, but in our surrounding regions too. So Keeler for Congress, you can find our events, you can donate, you can volunteer, and you can learn more about me there.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your background and why it is such a great reason to vote for you. I just believe if people know your story, it's a no-brainer to vote for you.
Yeah, well, I never wanted to be in politics. I just accidentally landed here. I worked in healthcare and education for 25 years before ever being elected. Went to school, got 3 degrees. My bachelor's and my master's were in my 30s. And so really it was higher education that launched me into the belief pattern that I could be something. I realized that my voice mattered. I learned how to get at tables. We keep marching. We come from a society that has always been fighting for something. And I just yelled around enough and got in spaces. I've always been an advocate for access to healthcare, including access to mental health. I'm the daughter of a Vietnam veteran, so making sure we protect our veterans, ending homelessness, and feeding Minnesota have been the lanes I've always worked in. And protecting education, making sure that every student feels loved, valued, and seen, and has access to food and housing. Seems like the very simple things, but work so hard to stay in those lanes. And I believe that that's what we need at Congress. Michelle Fischbach has not proven to see that this is a job that is an honor to have, and it's an honor to serve. And I would love to earn the opportunity to go be a voice at Congress for us.
Yes, and I believe you will, and I'm excited. Might not be able to get you on the radio as much as the past, but you'll be doing good work, and it will be exciting. I'll be like a uncle watching you really succeed. But we got to get you into the House or into Congress, and I believe it will happen. I'm manifesting it right here on AM 950 and Civic Media and all across Turtle Island. Oh wow!
Oh wow! I'm working hard for it, Robert. They say like, you got to put everything into it, and that's what we're doing. So any ways that people can help, Keeler for Congress, just lean in and inspire somebody else. So hopefully we do that in this path as well.
Well, I like too what you said earlier, that you were never planning on being a politician, but you wanted to run for school board. And remember, we were doing those Sunday night forums of natives all across the country, and everyone was whispering, we heard Heather's going to run for Representative Heather Keeler. And it's like, who?
Yeah. And I think that that's like, it's who we need in these spaces. Like when we have people who have ungodly amount of money and have power in all these weird spaces, right? Like that's not who we need here. We need social workers, teachers, people who like do the act of love, like the single moms in the world that know what the struggle is really like right now. And so, yeah, it was crazy. I accidentally did it. People in my community asked me to run. I think it's important that if people ask you to step up or they see something in you, lean into that. And I've always, just tried to be a voice for our people. And I think that that's landed me in some pretty amazing spaces.
Yes, thank you so much, State Representative Heather Keeler, our next congressperson here in the state of Minnesota. Thank you so much, and we'll be talking to you soon. Keep up the great work, and anyone that wants to help, definitely Keeler for Congress, check it out.
See you later.
See you later, Peeny Gigi. Hey, up next, Robert Lilligren. This is Native Roots Radio, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, local artist Rosie Seamoss, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Agay Jagwa Destiny Gowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Seamus presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everybody, and thanks again for Heather Keeler for stopping in. And we have our friend Robert Lilligren, CEO of Native American Community Development Institute here in the Minneapolis Twin Cities, and also a White Earth Ojibwe citizen. And it's always great to see you, Robert. Gotta get going on here. There's so much to talk about. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, bonjour, Robert. Bonjour, everyone. It's always so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, one of that maybe we can go a little backwards here right now. And is it a good thing that Kristi Noem's gone? And now we got some, I don't know if he's a real Native, or I think he is enrolled, going to be taking this over. What the heck?
Yeah, what the heck, right? I mean, is it a good thing? Yes, in some ways. Are there risks? Yes. The next guy could be even worse, this Mark Wayne Mullen. And we'll see, but at least there feels like there's some, at least acknowledgement of the mistakes that Homeland Security has made under Noem's leadership, and some kind of course correction. Although knowing Mark Wayne Mullen's record, I don't know that it's going to be better for us. He's very much in the MAGA mold.
Yeah, definitely. So prayers up. But it's interesting too. One of the things I guess we should acknowledge is that there was a push, and I really hope that the next person to fall is the Attorney General. It's, of course, it's wishful thinking, but that whole poop show that she did in front of Congress was just an amazing, not answering any questions, but attacking people constantly.
Right. That's their MO, right? They don't really have anything to give. So it's just, attack. And whether it's the Attorney General or, that whole crew, right? Yeah. They're criminal. They violate the Constitution on a daily basis. Not only should they not be in office, they should be prosecuted.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I don't know if we've talked about this, Robert, but I think one of the things that we really can concentrate on as being just not only Native, but also just being regional, is to really concentrate on our local elections too. Every election's so important now, and from people from the school board on, because the school board makes decisions, and we know that some of those decisions are really consequential.
Right. And sometimes they'll say all politics is local. I guess you could expand that. All government is essentially local, but it's those local units of government, like you just outline, school boards, city councils, county boards, that really make those decisions that touch our lives every day in a very real and tangible way. If your streets are drivable, your sidewalks are safe, your streetlights are on, your waters, your wastewater flows away, you turn on the tap, fresh water comes out, things like that. Those are local government, and local elected offices are often feeders into, state offices or federal offices even. And so, we need to make sure that our relatives are running for those more local offices, and that they're winning those races.
Well, the organization that you guys are part of and support, and it's bipartisan, is Make Voting a Tradition. And I believe, and I think we touched a little bit on it last time we were on, I believe that's going to be so important, that organization and organizations like that, to get people to the polls, to clarify things, because what happened in Texas was there was so much confusion.
Right, intentionally, right? Last minute switcheroos in polling places, not making the information public or available, about where your polling places are. And I think we'll see a lot of that kind of stuff, dirty pool kind of shenanigans things. And I think we'll see deeper systemic things. If there's a poll tax and you need some kind of federal identification, a passport, let's say to vote, but then passport offices are all closed, so you can't get a passport. That's another way of suppressing voters. And so we'll see those kinds of tactics, I'm sure, as we get closer to the midterms. But I think we could see much, much more severe and concerning tactics as well around violence at polling places, maybe violence against voters. And so we're planning to a whole different kind of level this cycle. And we have our Make Voting a Tradition, and we're part of a network of BIPOC organizations and indigenous organizations, statewide and nationally even, to encourage voter turnout in a nonpartisan way. We're a nonprofit. And and with our national partners, even, we're just having to start to plan in a very different way this whole polling place safety, voter safety kind of approach.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. And I know, Make Voting a Tradition was part a couple cycles ago. I believe when Walls Flanagan first ran, there were 9,000 new voters up north, and you guys had a big deal to do with that. And I know there were other organizations reaching out just to our Native relatives, and we can look forward to doing more of that. But that was significant, and that was a game changer. And the Native vote is so important.
It is important, and it's not a huge number, right? But as a percentage, it's enough to swing elections. And so we need to really flex that power through our vote. And, it's Make Voting a Tradition has been around for what, maybe 10, 11 years now, and maybe around 10. And really been trying to be intentional over the last few election cycles about building the relationships with our tribal reservation communities, building sort of trusted relationships, we're in the metro area, right? Minneapolis, St. Paul metro, the Twin Cities. And most of the reservations are much more remote. And so we come bringing resources. We're not trying to take anything, but we're really, really focusing on these more robust relationships we have up in the tribal communities, the rural communities. And that's really exciting. And we're trying to use national partners and the resources they bring to maybe beef up some of the nonpartisan political staffing on reservations in the more rural communities, and we'll see. And it does. We do have a demonstrable impact on voter turnout in Indian country.
It was amazing, and I love talking about that. It shows proof in the pudding of work like Make Voting a Tradition, and other organizations that really jumped in there and did that. I just smile. And then we've seen that nationally too when Biden won, that the Native vote was very, very shifted a couple states at least.
Yeah, the two for sure. Shifted them toward Biden, and NACDI was running. I'm trying to remember if it was Biden's year, but there was a very deliberate, we called it the 7-state strategy. And there were 7 states identified where the Native vote is significant enough to swing the state. Minnesota is one of those states. And I'm thinking at least 2. I'm thinking it was Arizona and Michigan. Maybe it was 3 states. The Native vote was the determining percentage of victory. And so again, it's not elections are numbers games, right? It's not magical or anything like that. It's doing the hard work of engaging with voters, motivating voters, supporting them in their voting process, and making sure folks get to the polls. And one of the things that Make Voting a Tradition that I just love is that it's a year-round program. Right? Very early on, Robert, from community, we said if you really want to make voting a tradition, you need to be in community year round. You can't show up when you need our votes. You can't just show up as it gets close to an election. And we took that to heart. And so we have all kinds of engagement in the policy and political process year round. And then sort of development and capacity building. We have a full, robust cadre of what we are now calling, we just changed it. We used to call them our canvassers, but now we're calling them our community specialists, our Native engagement community specialists. And they're very well trained organizers, and they can engage. It's kind of like identify the issue that you need their support and turn them loose, right? And I point out to the recent ICE surge, it was the Make Voting a Tradition community specialists who kept the resource hub going, our All My Relations Arts Gallery on Powell Grounds, which was the headquarters for the Native Protector Movement, AIM, the observers and things. It was a Make Voting a Tradition community specialist that kept that going.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, we're here with Robert Lilligren, White Earth Ojibwe relative and also CEO of Native American Community Development Institute. And we are just tickled pink to always have him on. We'll talk a little bit about some more election stuff. I got a couple things, and I'll text you so I don't. I'll text you so I don't surprise you. Oh wow, Native Roots Radio. Oh. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Demeny from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org. Rebuilding Together Minnesota provides critical home repairs and safety modifications at no cost to low-income homeowners, with a focus on supporting BIPOC communities across Minnesota, because everyone deserves a safe place to live. If repairs feel out of reach, help is available. Their work helps older adults stay independent, support families, and strengthens neighborhoods. Apply during the application window through March 31st. Visit rtmn.org and select Apply for Help, or call 651-776-4273. Rebuilding Together Minnesota, where neighbors help neighbors.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Age Jagwa Destiny Gowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Late tonight, a chance of rain with a low of 45. Then Friday, rain and thunderstorms expected with a high of 55. Dinosaur World is taking over Children's Theater Company for an immersive tour where you can feel the roar and even smell their stinky breath. Get ready to face a T-Rex and be sneezed on by a Triceratops. Dinosaur World runs now through April 5th. Get your tickets at childrenstheater.org. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Oh, this is Dallas Goldtooth, and you're listening to the Native Roots Radio. Hoka, hicha, wecha.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and we are with Robert Lilligren, White Earth citizen and also CEO of Native American Community Development Institute here in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis. And just really blessed to have Robert on and talk out things and talk through things. And, you know, I really believe it's important that we do talk the way we talk here because, you know, people need to hear this. I need to hear this. I need to hear that everything's okay, that people are thinking the same way as I am, and that we're not alone. And that's what community is all about. So again, Robert, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Robert. It's always such a pleasure. I don't know how much I contribute, but it is, I always enjoy our conversations.
Yeah, we do have good conversations. It's funny too. You know, we used to, when we did the 2-hour show, we used to pre-tape that and we'd have a great conversation before we'd record. And a lot of it had to do with talking about when we were younger, we're relatively the same age. And I remember when, you know, in the Iran-Contra, you know, the Iran crisis, it was on every night. And they were talking about bringing up the draft again and things like that. And it's just like, seems like it's been a cycle for the next 40 years of this. And now today it's no different. We have relatives from Minnesota dying.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's a little different, right? I had never seen this kind of immigration enforcement, targeted immigration enforcement, especially here in Minnesota, right? So, and then how targeted Native people were. And it's hard to imagine anyone who's less than an immigrant in Turtle Island than the indigenous people. And so that feels a little different.
Oh yeah.
Than it has in the past. But I mean, to your point, it seems like every generation, every decade seems to have its urgent crisis, right?
Right. Well, in a war. And I thought our old friend Bush was a criminal, a war criminal, but this guy here that's in there makes him seem even normal, which was hard to even fathom. Right.
And I don't know if I would say normal, but I get what you're saying, Robert. And it's all relative, right? And it kind of rubs me the wrong way that we'll look back and feel like, oh yeah, that seems more normal than because it isn't normal, right? And I don't want to normalize it, but that's kind of what's going on at work, right? Around the American Indian Cultural Corridor is, you know, you can feel this easing of the ICE enforcement. We have been able to for a week or so, and so, but none of us, I think, or at least I don't believe that we're going back to where we were before. There's going to be sort of a new normal. And how do we adjust to that? How can we keep working toward our community's objectives in this new normal? You know, hopefully we can assuage or mitigate the fear that we have in the communities now. But as we sort of put away that really, really active organizing around observers and protectors and the resistance, you know, we're not putting it away too deeply.
Right.
Keeping it close by in case we need to reactivate really quickly. I suspect that, especially as we get closer to the midterm elections, we'll probably see some increased federal activity here. So we're ready. We know how to respond. We don't like it, but we stay peaceful, we stay prayerful, and we're effective.
Yeah, it's interesting too that you said that because you and the, I guess, MUD and the organizations in Minneapolis and Minnesota really were able to switch gears and really become proactive like very quickly. And so it's great to hear that you still have those tools very handy.
Yeah, thanks. And so MUD that Robert talks about is MUID is an acronym, Metropolitan Urban Indian Directors. And so that's MUD. And it's a it's coming up on 55-year continually meeting leadership forum here in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul. It's now some 36 organizations as members, and then probably another 2 or 3 dozen ex officio members, tribal offices and things. And it's we're a collection of nonprofits here, right? We're not sovereign nations, but we're sovereign people that carry our sovereignty into daily life. And so we're able to use this leadership forum and the relationships between our Native organizations here to reorganize our resources, to respond to community needs. We do it often. The latest was the Metro Surge, the federal enforcement activity, but there's been the Wall of Forgotten Natives, a massive homeless encampment that was right here in the heart of the Minneapolis urban Indian community. When things happen, like a super offensive sculpture in our premier contemporary art museum, the Walker Art Center Sculpture Garden, we organized and it's the whole community, right? But it's very beneficial. It's a huge value here to have these organizations that are in relationship that can respond quickly. We were redeploying our meager resources to make sure people were housed, fed, safe. And the other thing that happened here, and it wasn't just in the Native community, so many communities in Minneapolis and in the Twin Cities and in the state responded in similar ways. And I just find this whole movement so interesting, Robert, because it wasn't like there was a lead group or an identified leader that was saying, do this, do that. There was a shared understanding and objectives. We want ICE out of our communities. We want to keep our relatives and neighbors safe. And then each community kind of organized in their way to do that. So it's kind of a diffused leadership kind of model of a movement. And I thought that helped make it very effective.
Yeah. Well, we talk about the way your organization is run, and I don't know if these are the right ways to put it, but how it puts yourself first and things like that. That I'm just amazed and grateful to hear about, and that other organizations are looking at that. We got a couple minutes here. Could you just bring that up again? Because I think that's just so wonderful, and it's kind of what you're talking about with all the other organizations too. Not trying to take the lead, but also working together.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. And you're always so kind about that. And and a lot of Native interests, tribes or businesses, but nonprofits for sure, are striving to indigenize the way that we operate, and with some success, and to really acknowledge, we're living in a system that we didn't choose, right? We're the results, the victims in some ways of colonization, genocide, forced assimilation. And so in this generational way, we're moving back to our traditional values, our traditional languages, spiritualities, life ways, our traditional approaches. One of them is identifying how we want to be with each other. One of them is, what does community success look like? What is Indigenous economic success? It's not the same as the capitalistic system that has been imposed on us. And so one of the big values, that I learned this during the COVID quarantine era, and I was coached by a brilliant local elder, Linda Eagle Speaker, who who does a lot of sort of indigenizing organizational operations. And one of the things Linda taught me during that time over Zoom was that an indigenous approach is to take care of ourselves first, our family second, then the community or our organizations. And I would just push back against her and I'd say, Linda, we're indigenous. We care for the whole. We're not just about ourselves. And she would say to me, like I was a little kid, she would say, Robert, that's the colonizer's way. The indigenous way is take care of yourself, then your family, then the community. So without any proof, I just embraced that and just saw the transformational impact on my work. And then we started to embrace it at NACDI, Native American Community Development Institute. And people resisted it because it's not how we're conditioned. But once we really fully implemented it, really embraced it, it is amazing. The incredible energy and commitment everyone at NACDI brings to their work because they're taken care of, their families are taken care of, and they can literally give 150% while they're at work.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. One of the things, there's people been reaching out to you about how you do this because you seem not to have a turnover of workers there, and it seems like people are happy, and that's a big reason why. So other organizations wondering what the secret sauce is and been reaching out.
Yeah, well, we share a lot of secret sauce information, right? And a lot of the Native orgs here in the Twin Cities, especially with younger leadership than me, they're really integrating Native values and indigenizing their operations. So we kind of share all that, which is good. But I will say, especially outside the Native world, I have the privilege to engage with a lot of non-Native groups and organizations and stuff. And they are very interested in this approach. And, it's not unfamiliar, right? We know that. What is it? Put your own mask on before helping, others. So, we always kind of have that idea, but for us at NACDI, really committing to it, really emphasizing it, it's been quite an experience.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I'd really love to, we're winding down in this segment, and I'd really love to talk about the work of NACDI. And I know there's things happening. I know the art gallery is going to be opening up here real soon again. And just the boots on the ground and the great come to Franklin Avenue and walk around a little bit. And, you look down the street and see a big, huge building being built, and it's Native American Community Clinic that's adding to the whole vibe on Franklin Avenue, the corridor of Native Americans in Minneapolis. And let's talk a little bit about that next segment.
Sounds good.
Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we're with Robert Lilligren, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this short break. Please stay with us.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Demeny from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
If the statistics say that 1 in 3 Native women and 1 in 6 Native men have experienced sexual assault in their lifetime, it means our whole community is affected by sexual violence. 1 is too many. Don't stand by, stand up. Don't engage in acts of sexual violence, and shut down the dirty jokes, the gossip, the victim blaming and shaming. As a community, we can change the way we respond. Contact the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition to attend a workshop to learn more.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, welcome back to Native Roots Radio, and you got the howl in there. I guess we're going to do a roar or two for the bear too. But,
okay, howl and a roar. Okay.
Yeah, he's taking a note of that. That's awesome. So we're back with Robert Lilligren, CEO of Native American Community Development Institute, NACDI, here in the Twin Cities. He's our White Earth Ojibwe relative, and we just love catching up, and there's so much going on and with NACDI, and I can't keep up, and it's really great to have you on and talk me through this, because sometimes I fall asleep and miss some of these great things.
You doze off? Yeah, there's a lot going on at NACDI. You know, we're getting ready for our busy season. We have our food sovereignty work that is our Four Sisters urban farm, our Four Sisters farmers market. We're in the process. We're just launching some professional development courses, business courses for our vendors at our Four Sisters farmers market. And these are very sort of grassroots kinds of vendors, a lot of them. And so we get business courses, other sorts of courses. So those are starting out right now in preparation for market season. Our farm has been active. We are doing urban sugar camp here, and they just started tapping maples throughout the community, and sap is really flowing this year. I don't know if you've heard this or not, Robert, but a lot of my network, my circle who tap maples, our folks were saying, yeah, the sap was running before we could even get the tap in or something like that. So that'll be fun. We're having a sugar boiled at one of our local parks and things. So that is just super exciting. I think this is the 3rd year we've tapped maples, and it just is growing every year. More and more participants. So that's exciting. Another piece is we're kind of getting back to trying to refocus on our mission. And so, of course, our gallery, we had to cancel a show in our gallery, All My Relations Arts, because we were using it as the headquarters for the protectors and resource hub. And so now we're putting it back in order, restoring it. And so April 10th, our next show will open. It's Unsi Said So. It's by a Lakota artist, Danielle Seawalker. And so it's about these matriarchs, this grandmotherly leadership style that doesn't really ask for permission, but really leads. And I'm super excited about this. And I've missed having the beautiful art around us at work.
Yeah. Yeah, that is exciting, and to normalize. But again, you know, you guys are ready and willing if something else happens. To talk a little bit about the powwow grounds too. You know, that you guys help support. It's in the same building, and how, you know, you see people there from all over the world.
Right.
I mean, literally.
So Powwow Grounds is a coffee shop on the American Indian Cultural Corridor, East Franklin Avenue. It's a little humble kind of space, but man, it is a huge community center. And people know you go, when you come to Minneapolis, you go to the Indian Center on Franklin, which is just a block up from us, or you go to Powwow Grounds, right? To meet folks, and it's amazing how often I'll be in the office and I'm like, oh, I really need to talk to this person, this community member. And I look out our office door into the coffee shop and they're sitting there. Right. So it's like, okay, let's get that business done. And then through the surge in federal presence here, it really became a go-to spot. We had a lot of media, international media, English, German, French, Japanese, Chinese, Italian. People were very interested in what's going on here. And so it did become kind of this international, crossroads for a minute.
Do you have any more things to report? Because I want to ask you a question. Yeah, I talk to everybody, and I think about it too, because State Representative Heather Keeler was on earlier, and when we have time to more than one segment to talk to her, I talk to our guest, and you're a regular guest. I want to ask you, what do you do for your mental health? How do you take care of your spirit? I know we talk about ceremony, and I know you're a bicyclist, and what do you do, Robert?
Yeah, that is such a good question, Robert. And I probably don't do enough, but I will say I do more than I did in my younger days. And part of it is, prayer, meditation, communicating with ancestors and with Mother Earth and stuff. I do that very deliberately. But the other thing so that's one thing. And, having people in my life that help kind of monitor. And one thing I've learned, especially recently, is I am not always the best judge of kind of where I'm at, right? And so it's helpful to have other people. So, both at NACDI and my personal life, we check in on each other, right? But the other thing I do, Robert, and to a much higher extent, I'm kind of this balance of introvert, extrovert. I'm very deliberate about having time alone or in my house or just with my husband and not having a lot of people. I've had a very public career for like the last 25, 30 years, right? Always around people. And I like that. I like the energy I get off people and stuff. But as I age, as I try to be more deliberate about caring for myself, now I just know, like today, I just had a lot of stuff to do. I just stayed home, didn't go into the office, me and my computer, taking breaks. I did some outside work, which was really nice. But yeah. I can't be so aggressively in public if I don't have private time.
No doubt. And some of these things, not only, of course, ceremony, whether it's a sweat but just to rejuvenate yourself, kind of the opposite of what you're saying is to be in community too, because a lot of us, can really feel alone and be alone. And it's so important that we talk about the gallery, the powwow grounds, the avenue that people stop by. And so there's both sides of those coins that are so important for our community. But I just wanted to ask you, because I know you're a bicyclist, and that's a serenity too.
I do. I love it. And so I used to be a year-round bike commuter. Now I don't do it in the snowy months. So it's getting to be bike season again, which is exciting. But it is. When I get back on my bike after not being on it for a while, it's just like this feeling of liberation, right? It's like, oh, I miss this. I need this. And so I just live a quick, 10, 15-minute bike ride from the office. And so it's not like I do long rides, but I really, really enjoy it. And then if there's a health benefit, it's just that bonus.
Absolutely. Hey, we got less than a minute. How can people find out more about Native American Community Development Institute?
Yeah, so Native American Community Development Institute, NACDI, NACDI, NACDI.org, and that'll get you kind of into all of our projects and programs. We have a very good social media presence as well. So whether it's Facebook, Insta, whatever, if you look for NACDI And then our individual programs maintain their own online presences. So All My Relations Arts, For Sisters, Food Sovereignty, Make Boating a Tradition, they all have platforms. And so you can look at any of those. And there's a lot going on, and then a lot of community stuff as well, right? We work in community. So we might be part of something that's going on. And so you can learn more about what's going on in the community.
Well, thank you so much, Robert Lilligren, for being on. As always, I just want to end this thought. If you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance. From Chief Plentycoops, the ground on which we stand on, it's sacred ground. It's the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, or run for office. We're still here. We are the 7th generation. We'll see you all tomorrow. Rebuilding Together Minnesota